In today's video, I'm going to be telling you about some of my favourite 90s supercar mods for Assetto Corsa. First up is the gorgeous Jaguar XJ220. This car has a beautiful design and it is absolutely timeless. In around 2010, I told my friend that this car was actually from the 90s and he straight up didn't believe me. He thought it was a brand new modern car, which is just a testament to how timeless the body is. This particular version of the XJ220 has a 3.5 litre engine which is turbocharged and it produces around 500 brake horsepower. By today's standards that doesn't sound like a lot, but in this car that has very primitive electronics and grip, it is more than enough. I found the car to be quite turbo laggy, but that's just a sign of the times. You'll find that in most other cars today, they're extremely hard to drive. The XJ220 went on to break a few records, including the fastest production car with a speed of 212 miles per hour. Just 275 of these cars were made, so it is quite rare. And it wasn't well received at the time by journalists, and was in the shadow of some other cars that I'm going to mention in this video. So that was the Jag XJ220, probably my favourite 90s supercar. But don't click off yet, up next I've got some more iconic 90s supercars that you want to download. When you think 90s supercars, this Lamborghini Diablo is probably what comes to mind. With its iconic purple paint and blue interior, this car is recognisable to almost anyone along with the Countach. And I'm pretty sure it's the Diablo that inspired my love of purple cars. This particular Diablo is called the SE30. It was made to commemorate Lamborghini's 30th anniversary, so it really is a special car. Personally, I love the design of the Diablo. Everything about it screams 90s. It's very overstated, and you can see in some of these shots that the rear is almost cartoonishly bigger than the front. The SE30 had a standard Diablo V12, although it was tuned and produced almost 600 horsepower. The Diablo SE30 could reach 207 miles per hour, which makes it a tad slower than the previously mentioned XJ220. So that was probably the most iconic 90s supercar in Assetto Corsa. But up next I've got some lesser known ones, and at the end I've got the absolute king of them all, so make sure you keep watching. Up next is the Lotus Esprit V8, probably one of my favourite Lotuses. The V8 was released in 1996 and of course it had a V8 engine which was actually capable of 500 horsepower. However, it was detuned to just 350. The Esprit was capable of 175 miles per hour, which doesn't seem like a lot in comparison to the other cars on this list. However, it was a more affordable option. One of the best things about this mod is the sound. It really does feel like the car is driving right past you. With a big booming sound and a slight hint of turbo as it passes, this is one of the most realistic sounding cars that I've heard in Assetto Corsa. If you're a fan of Lotus, definitely go and check this one out. Up next is the Dodge Viper. This list wouldn't be completed without this car. The Viper was introduced in 1992, however this spec is from 1996, known as the SR2. The Dodge Viper is probably the most primitive car on this list. The body and interior are extremely basic and it has absolutely zero electronic assists. All it has is 4 wheels, a steering wheel and a massive engine. This car quickly became synonymous for crashes, hence why it wasn't as popular as it should have been, and one of the reasons it's so rare today. Most of the cars that were bought have been put into ditches. It's all drama and big American muscle. This particular version has around 460 brake horsepower and is capable of reaching 184 miles per hour. If you're a fan of 90s automotive culture or just love American muscle cars, this car is a must-have. Before we get onto the final and best car, I just wanted to remind you to support the channel. Don't worry, I'm not asking you for any money. Ways you can help are by liking, commenting or even sharing the videos with your friends or on forums. It helps the channel out a lot and I'd really appreciate it, thank you. Up next is the Bugatti EB110. This car was the predecessor to the infamous Veyron, and it held many of the same titles that the Veyron did. For example, it had the highest top speed record and could reach 0 to 100 kilometers in just 3.6 seconds. The Bugatti EB110 was produced from 1991 to 1995. It had around 553 horsepower, with a Supersport version that produced 603, with a 6-speed manual transmission. The EB110 was just as iconic as the Veyron is, and it definitely deserves a spot on this list. I can definitely recommend this mod. The model is absolutely beautiful, and the car would make a good addition to your Assetto Corsa mod list. So those were my favourite Assetto Corsa 90s supercar mods. Thank you for watching. If you have any more lists you want me to make, don't forget to drop it in the comments. While you're down there, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.